What's up guys, it's your boy Dofo and we're back at it again for another video. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys everything you have to know about getting access to the auction and obtaining your dealer's license. This is going to be everything that we're going to cover in today's video. The first thing that we're going to cover is the easiest way to get auction access. The second thing that we're going to cover is the top 3 auctions I recommend going to. And the third thing that we're going to cover is if you're a beginner, should you flip your first car through the auction. And lastly, I'm going to give you guys a bonus on how you can maximize your profits buying and selling cars at the auction. Now this is going to be for anybody. If you're a beginner, if you're somebody who's experienced, this is going to benefit you. So watch the video all the way to the end. So yeah guys, let's get right into it. The easiest way to get access to the auction is going to be to become an authorized buyer through somebody else who already has their dealer's license. Now before we get into that, I want to talk about 2 of my most profitable cars that I was able to buy from the auction. The first one was this Kia Soul 2015. I was able to buy for about $1,600. I put about $300 and some change into the car, and I was able to sell that car for $4,800 in about 13 days. The second car I want to talk about is this 2015 BMW M235i. This to date has been my most profitable car I have ever bought. This car I only paid $2,200 for, and I made over $12,300 in about 51 days parting out the car. Now becoming an authorized buyer is actually pretty simple. All you need is somebody who owns a dealership license, and they'll be able to authorize you as a buyer under their dealer license. If you guys are interested in becoming an authorized buyer and you guys don't know anybody who has a dealership license, feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave my Instagram down below. Shoot me a DM and let me know that you're interested in getting access to the auction, and I'll be able to help you guys out. Now I want to talk about the difference between owning your dealership license and becoming an authorized buyer, because a lot of people get the two confused. Now when you buy your own dealer's license, there are a lot of benefits, but it can be very, very expensive. You also do have access to something called a floor plan, which is going to allow you to go ahead and buy cars from the auction and never pay out of pocket. A lot of people don't talk about this, but this can be very beneficial to increase how many cars you're able to buy and never come out of pocket for the cars you're buying and pay for the cars after they're sold. You also get unlimited dealer plates, and depending on what state you're in, you are limited to the amount of dealer plates you are able to get. But I know here where I'm at, you're able to get unlimited dealer plates if you are a dealership. Now for the third thing, there are a lot of tax benefits when you decide to open up your dealership and have an official business. Since you're no longer buying and selling cars under your personal name, you will be able to save a lot of money on taxes if you do have your dealer's license and you do set it up as a proper business. Now the fourth and last thing is the ability to upsell. When you have your dealer's license, you have the ability to make more money per car, because you can charge for other things such as temp tags. If you guys have ever bought a car from a dealer, you will see that they add additional fees, especially if you finance a car, and that is another way for a dealer to be able to upsell you and make more money per car. Now that we're done talking about all the good things about having your dealer's license, I want to talk about some of the bad things. Now when you're trying to acquire your dealer's license, when you're first getting started, you're going to see that it is very expensive to get your own dealer's license. It can cost you anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000 in order to get started, and on top of that, it can take you anywhere between 3 to 6 months, sometimes even longer, depending on the state that you're trying to establish your dealership at. Now another thing that people don't mention when you are getting started is that when you do get your dealer's license, you do have to pay a monthly recurring cost. You also have to pay that cost even while you don't have your dealer's license yet. So those 3 to 6 months that you're waiting to open up your dealership, you do have to pay a monthly recurring cost. Now monthly recurring costs will continue as long as you have your dealership. Typically you have to pay for a lot, which can be anywhere from $2,100 to $3,500 a month, sometimes even more depending on what type of lot you have and the size of your lot. But it can be very, very expensive for somebody who's just getting started to open up a lot and open up a dealership, and it will require a lot of upfront cash. So I want to get into some of the pros about becoming an authorized buyer. The first thing is you get auction access within 24 hours. So if you are somebody who wants to get auction access and wants to get it quick, you can get auction access as an authorized buyer within 24 hours. The second thing is the cost to starting as an authorized buyer is super duper cheap. You won't have to spend 15, 20, 30, or even 40 grand to get started, and it is a lot cheaper to get into the auction. This way you guys are going to be able to build up capital and save up enough money to eventually be able to own your own dealer's license. There's no maintenance cost. So once you become an authorized buyer, you will have to pay a one-time fee in order to get initiated as an authorized buyer, and there is no maintenance cost. So if you decide not to buy no cars this month, you will pay nothing. As an authorized buyer, you would only pay per car that you buy. Typically different dealers have different fees, but there's no monthly recurring cost. Depending on which dealer you sign up with, you do get your own individual dealer plate, which is going to be great for anybody getting started. So like that, you guys are able to legally move around with the cars and don't have to worry about getting pulled over, since these dealer plates are insured, and you can put them on any car under the dealership, which is going to be great for anybody getting started. As an authorized buyer, there is a fee that you pay per car. It doesn't matter what dealer you work with. Every dealer will charge you a fee. The fee might be anywhere between $150 all the way up to $350 depending on the dealer that you work with, which isn't ideal if you're buying 5, 6, 7, 8 cars a month, because that will start to add up. Now the second thing is you're limited to how many dealer plates you can get. If you are an authorized buyer, typically you can get more than one dealer plate, but that dealer will charge you an additional fee every month to have an additional dealer plate, which also isn't ideal for anybody just getting started, just because you will have a monthly overhead. And if you have 2 or 3 dealer plates, that can easily add up to like $600 to $700 a month depending on how much the dealer's charging you. Now the third thing is, as an authorized buyer, you don't have any ownership over the dealership, which isn't ideal because you do want to own your business, and if you want to run a business properly, you do want to have some sort of ownership. So for somebody just getting started, this can be great, but if you're doing this for 2 or 3 years and you still don't own your own dealer's license, you are missing out on a lot of benefits. So I don't recommend to do this for a long period of time, but it is a great way to get access to the auction and be able to start to scale up your business. If you are somebody who wants to get started buying and selling cars, but you don't know how to get started, I will be helping 5 people sell their first 5 cars, and I will be holding your hand throughout the entire process. If you guys are interested in speaking to me, go ahead and click the link down below where you guys are going to be able to book a 15-minute call with me, and I can see if you're going to be the right fit. I'm only working with 5 people. This is super duper limited, so make sure you go ahead and click the link in the bio and don't miss this opportunity if you are interested. So now that you guys know the difference between owning your dealer's license and becoming an authorized buyer, and you guys know how to get access to the auction by reaching out to me or by reaching out to another dealer who has auction access, let's get into the top 3 auctions I recommend for anybody looking to get started buying and selling cars at the auction. Now, as you guys know, there's a ton of different auctions: ACV, Coparts, Manheim, Carfax. I could probably name 50 auctions, and there's a ton of private auctions as well that most people don't know about. Typically different states have different private auctions, and for somebody just getting started, it might be really overwhelming to know which auction should I go to. So let's get right into it. I want to start off with ACV. ACV is an online only auction, and I would only recommend ACV for anybody who has experience buying at the auction, or you have a lot of experience working on cars, because you won't be able to test drive any of these cars. You'll pretty much just be going off a video, which is not ideal for anybody who's not mechanically inclined or has been buying cars for a while. But with ACV, you are able to make the most money per car. Now, the best overall auction, in my opinion, is going to be Manheim. They have over 100 locations spread out throughout the United States, and they also allow you to bid on cars over the phone, which is great. Unlike ACV, you do have the ability to test out the cars the day before. The only downside I would say about Manheim is that there is a lot of competition. Typically, if you're down south or on the East Coast, you do have a lot of competition at every single Manheim auctions. Now, if you're somebody who's looking to buy cars and you're really good at doing body work, I would highly recommend Coparts. That is, in my opinion, the best auction for anybody who's looking to buy cars that are salvage or need body work. They have a ton of different options, and their prices are normally unbeatable. I would highly recommend Coparts. Now, for anybody just getting started buying and selling cars, or wants to get started buying and selling cars, this is probably going to be the most important part of the video. Now, should you buy your first car from the auction? My answer is going to be no. I would not buy my first car from the auction. Now, this might seem like a surprise for a lot of people, since there are a lot of people online that say, hey, if you want to get into buying and selling cars, you should buy and sell your first cars from the auction. But I don't recommend it for your first 5 cars unless you're somebody who has experience buying cars at the auction. I would never throw you guys into the deep end of the water and say, hey, go and swim. If you go ahead and you start buying and selling cars at the auction, you are more likely to buy a car that has issues. You guys have to remember, a lot of these cars that are being sold at the auction are being sold by wholesalers and big dealerships that are looking to get rid of inventory. A lot of the time, these cars do have issues, so I would be super duper careful if you are somebody that wants to start buying and selling cars and wants to jump right into the auction. Now, for anybody who is experienced and has been in the business for a while, this won't be an issue, since you will know exactly what's wrong with a car. You'll be able to identify issues with cars. But if you are a beginner, if you don't know what's wrong with a car and you buy a car that has an issue that you were not expecting, could get screwed over and lose money on a car. Now, with that being said, I want to give you guys a success roadmap so you guys know exactly how you guys can start buying and selling cars as a complete beginner, so that you guys can build up as much capital as humanly possible. Now, as I mentioned before, for your first 3 to 6 cars, depending on your state, there is a limit to how many cars you can sell under your name. So for your first 3 to 5 cars, I'm going to highly recommend for them to be private party sales. So go on Facebook Marketplace, go on Craigslist. If you guys know how to run paid ads, I'm gonna give you guys a bonus tip in this video. Run paid ads and get people to reach out to you in order to sell their cars. That is another way to get a lot of cheap cars and get really, really good deals, since these are typically people who are looking to sell their cars quickly and need cash quickly. Now, once you've sold your first 3 to 5 cars, you've made some money, you have 10 to 15, maybe 20 grand saved up. Now it'll make sense for you to go ahead and become an authorized buyer. You will pretty much won't be coming out of pocket. You'll be using your profits from buying and selling cars in order to become an authorized buyer, which is what I would highly recommend in order to minimize your expenses and to make sure that you already know what you're doing before you go ahead and jump into the auction. Now, once you have gotten pretty experienced into the game, you've sold 20, 30, 40, 50 cars, maybe you have 60 or 70 grand saved up. This is when it would make sense to invest into becoming your own private dealer. Now, for the bonus, I want to get into how you can maximize your profits if you're buying and selling cars from the auction. This also applies to if you're buying and selling cars privately, but primarily if you're buying and selling cars from the auction. You want to test drive cars before you buy them. This is crucial if you're just getting started. If you buy a car unseen and undriven, you might realize once the car gets to you that there's a lot of issues that you were not realizing and you overpaid for the car, and I've seen a lot of people lose money. The second thing is going to be cutting down your transportation costs. Now, this is crucial and you should do this as soon as possible. I see dealers to this day who have been in this business for 10 plus years and they overpay for transportation costs. The easiest way to cut down on your transportation costs is going to be to reach out to local towing companies and ask them if they can work out a deal if you're towing multiple cars in a month with them. So like that, you can have consistent, reliable, and cheap towing and transportation for your cars. The third thing is, and this is something that I wish I knew when I first got into the business, if you see a car at the auction that looks like a really good deal, it has little to no issues, you can pre-sell the car and you'll be able to outbid people if you know you have 2 or 3 buyers that are willing to buy the car. Get familiar with the sellers at the auction so you know who sells good cars. This is really important because this will save you a lot of money and you'll know who not to buy cars from and who you should look out for. And you'll be able to make a lot of money once you figure out who sells good cars and who doesn't. I always say buy cars that require little to no work because you're gonna save a lot of time and money. A lot of people don't realize this, but time is money in this business. If it takes you 2 months or 3 months to sell a car because you have to do a whole bunch of work to it, you are technically losing money because that cash could have been put into 3 or 4 other cars in that same time. You could have turned your $5,000 initial investment to one car into 4 or 5 different flips that made you $2,000 or $3,000 per flip. So you will be losing out on money if you are sitting on cars for a really long time. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video and found this video valuable in any sort of way, make sure that you guys go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.